Welcome, sad boys, to my video, to my channel. This video is only for a particular group of sad boys, my patrons. I'm gonna try and do patron exclusive content when I remember to do it. Since I seem to have spent my February exploring the musical stylings of one Weird Al Yankovic, I thought if you could spare me but one more video to express my feelings specifically on the polkas. It is almost impossible to talk about Weird Al, to dissect his music. It's hard to talk about that without talking about the polkas. And I know there are more than just this sits, but I don't have time to listen to them all. And these are going to be probably the ones that most people are familiar with, if not the ones with the songs that people are actually familiar with. I'm going to listen to the polkas. We're going to rank them as we go. And then at the end, we'll have a definitive ranked list of the polkas. It's a polka list. We all know how polka rankings go. These are really good for capturing the moment of music, the moment in which the album was released under. Bad Hair Day, 1996. This was at the height of grunge. I always think it's interesting what songs he includes that are remembered and which ones have sort of fallen out of the rotation of time. How some songs have seemed to persist beyond their expiration date, while other, even by bands that are still well known, have not been as successful as hits as they would either later produce or produce prior. So I always find it interesting to look at what songs Weird Al actually chooses, and then how he ties them together. It's just a little bit of frosting on the cake. It's the fun of the movement because the polka is his opportunity to fully take command of his sound, of his music, to produce something that is so essential to Weird Al, the musical core that drives his perception, this want to pull fun, to pull maximum energetic enjoyment out of every single moment. And this first one fully showcases that, going from Beck to Stone Temple Pilots to Sheryl Crow to 9 Inch Nails to REM to Alanis Morissette. A lot of Canadian representation in this first polka, a lot of rock representation, a lot of whiteness. There's a lot of whiteness going on in here. Interesting. Starting off with Beck gives you that very iconic, very well-known guitar riff, a down, 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 down. That right away kind of throws you off because it's something familiar, and then we go into the new sounds of polka. So you get that alternative feeling, and then you get the subversion when we dive deeper into it. I do like the really hard switch from All I Wanna Do into Closer by 9 Inch Nails, but I do have to point out that I have no idea what My Friends by Red Hot Chili Peppers or I'll Stick Around by the Foo Fighters is. Those could be any Foo Fighters song or any Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and if you don't necessarily know the melody, then you may not even understand that he has moved on to that part of the polka yet. I didn't know we were through those songs until I heard Black Hole Sun started playing. And then he ends it on a little punkier note with Basket Case before carrying the stanza of Am I Paranoid or Am I Just Stoned? Perfect bookend. A song that opened with Loser and then ended with Basket Case. A song about being so kind of alone and isolated and bored within yourself that you can't help but think that maybe you're a little bit crazy. You just start overthinking it. That is a really good, well-rounded finish to this alternative polka, even though some of the songs I don't remember. The ones that I do remember are all-time fucking hits, and I think he represents them really well. I appreciate the Alanis Morissette especially into the Smashing Pumpkins. It was really smooth. And I like that Weird Al doesn't have to mimic anyone. He doesn't have to take on anyone else's voice. It's Weird Al at his most essential, naturalistic, his core, his essence, his spring of life. The alternative polka is the only one we've listened to so far, so it's going to remain at the top of the playlist. Maybe the Polka Power will challenge it.
I want something else to get me through this semi-charm kind of life, baby.
Polka Power, our second polka offering. I find it interesting in 3 years how differently the musical sphere had changed. We went from an alternative world, a rock and roll world full of anger and grunge, to one of more of a thinking type of anger. Flagpole Sonata, tub thumping, semi-charmed kind of life. These are all commenting more on the complacency of our modern life, commenting on perhaps harder struggles to pinpoint than what one might be able to generally be angry about. The mood had changed a little bit by the end of the millennium, and Weird Al, I think, does a good job capturing it. I think there's some really cool instrumentals going on in the background, tying them together, and some of the way that he hits these parts are the definitive versions in my head. When Closing Time plays in my mind, it's the end of this one. In that way, I think Weird Al has done a really good job of breaking these hooks down, extracting them, putting them in with all the other essential parts, flowing them together, and creating a sort of mood and get the wider range of flavors of that year. Now, I must say, the songs that he's pulling from, I like or care a little less about than the songs that were pulled in the alternative polka. Spice Girls, never been my favorite. Backstreet Boys, Smash Mouth, not my favorite Beastie Boys song, but I do like how it's placed in here, very similar to Closer, where it's a switch in the song and we get the kick drum coming in. I will always give it credit for putting Matchbox 20. When it comes to these two, I think the alternative polka is still number one, but Polka Power is a very close number 2 at this point. I have a sneaking suspicion, though, that the angry white boy polka is gonna touch us in a very specific place.
Get out, come on, get down with the sickness. Get out, come on, get down with the sickness. Get out, come on.
And the angry white boy polka, this is me. This is my childhood. It really feels like for this one, Weird Al infused it with just so much energy. He's sort of taking the piss out of how serious these songs are, and it feels like they sort of devolve as he goes through them. We have great bands like The Vines, The Hives, The White Stripes, System of a Down, The Strokes, Rage Against the Machine, and then it's just sprinkled in with Disturbed, Papa Roach, Limp Bizkit, Stained, Kid Rock, POD, no issues by me. POD, perfectly okay. Especially given the cultural mood at the time and the cultural mood around nu metal at the time, which nu metal was a genre that took itself a little too seriously, and that angry white boy polka can sometimes be the main emotion, the main feeling coming off of these songs. I think it's okay to laugh at them, to make them lighter. I don't think it lessens the original song. One can't help but feel like Outside, My Way, Youth of the Nation, these sound better on horns. They sound better on real instruments rather than the digital scratching of the DJ or the overblown fucking bass and guitars that they're usually recorded with. I think the way that he's able to implement a cappella into Down with the Sickness infuses a brand of musicianship that Disturbed does not deserve. Disturbed deserve. Starting with that Papa Roach, Cut My Life into Pieces, This Is My Last Resort, entirely takes the fucking piss out of that song, which seems to be a pro-suicide song. I got nothing else to do. I got nowhere else to go. I'm gonna myself, baby. But not until we've made like 10 albums and we've toured the world and we become rock stars. I'll get to it sometime. Don't worry about it. Jesus Christ, I'm not saying I want him to fucking kill himself. I'm just saying the boy cries wolf. But what Weird Al does seem to be sort of making fun of is the way that they utilize his angry white boy emotion. They utilize this angry sentiment to sell to the audience, to the young, angry white boys, that emotion so that they too can go, I'm an angry white boy. You speak to me, Kid Rock, Mr. Rock, Mr. Rock. I thank God every night that you brought me ba it da ba the bane and dane diggy say bon diggy bon say up chug the boogie. It just like I love the Angry White Boy Polka mostly for just the fucking energy in it. It really pumps up the mood. Though I will have to say the hooks I like a lot better than the alternative polka. So Angry White Boy Polka is going above polka power, but it's gonna stay under the alternative polka. Well, now we're out of music I like. What will Weird Al give us?
Somebody told me you had a boyfriend who looked like a girlfriend that I hadn't.
Interesting. I actually knew a lot more of these songs than I thought I would. In that, I knew every single fucking one of them. I think except for The Speed of Sound by Coldplay, but that's because who the fuck listens to Coldplay? Who the fuck listens to Coldplay? So this has one more part in it than the Angry White Boy Polka, and yet it's almost a minute shorter, and you can feel it. It really feels like he is just flying through these songs, and he doesn't even choose the best parts from some of them. Maybe I'm doing this the wrong way. Maybe you're supposed to listen to it on the CD and then be surprised at the movements and the songs that he pulls from. Like, oh my God, are they doing that now? But when you're looking at the list and I see Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz featuring De La Soul, one of the all-time fucking classic radio hit bangers, musical movements to ever happen. The Gorillaz being Hall of Famers, all-time greatest musicians I think we've all agreed on, and you're waiting for them to come up on the song, and then all you get is Weird Al saying, feel good, before we switch into the fucking Pussycat Dolls. It's a little disappointing. I wanted a little more Gorillaz. I wanted that Weird Al polka treatment on my Gorillaz. We get to the Velvet Revolver song, and it brings the mood down. It turns the lights down. We get nice, soft, and sexy. Fuck it, we're in Candy Shop now. Completely flips the mood from the atmosphere that they created. It still has the musicianship and the instrumentals. I just feel like maybe the heart was taken out of this one to make it feel fast and energetic, to give it just a little bit of energy. It's doing it a disservice. Polkarama is gonna stay firmly in last place.
Blame it on the goose, got you feeling loose. Blame it on the throne, got you in the zone. Blame it on the
He seemed to have learned his lesson from the Polkarama and gave this one a little more breathing room. It has about the same amount of parts to it. There is just more of a section for each distinctive part. Womanizer being like the longest one out of all of them. Day and Night being its own distinctive part. You Need to Know, Baby, So What, I Kiss a Girl, and then we switch it for Fireflies for that ending stretch, and that's when it kind of loses me. But that first half is really strong. He does try to retain the emotional integrity and the melody of the original song to give you the idea musically. Maybe it's only as good as what he's offered that year, and the songs he chooses from just happen to work better together or translate better to that polka format sometimes than others. There's some good pulls in here. I like the Kid Cudi part. I actually do like what he does with Britney Spears' Womanizer. And the So What part works really well after Baby. It's just when we get to Fireflies, it just kind of kills it for me. I can't help but feel the production is a little different on this one, that the bass isn't as thick, it isn't as thumping as their prior polkas. For me, it elevates it, but not to a place that I would say is better than Polka Power or Angry White Boy Polka or the alternative polka. If it had maintained its energy throughout the entire song and not killed it with Owl City like Owl City tends to always does when they show up, then I think this would have been a lot stronger overall. But that doesn't matter. We're to our last polka, and now that is what I call Polka, the last offering that we have gotten from him since 2014.
I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard.
Woo! And we finish it off with a banger, with a jam, with several goddamn bangers and jams and mashes. Carly Rae Jepsen, Kesha, Macklemore, Daft Punk, Foster the People. Okay, these may not be the best artists featured in a polka. It's that self-serious style of pop music that works so well when Weird Al is having fun with it, when he infuses it with his personality, when he makes it a conversation. I love the little noises. The way he says Gangnam polka style genuinely made me laugh, even though nothing around Gangnam style has ever made me laugh. And that is what he is at the absolute best. He represents the song to its core, its melody, its lyrics, its mood, and infuses it with something that is so essentially him. Horns, the snare, the accordion is just so essential to who he is that when you fuse it, sometimes you get something that you're confused at and it doesn't really taste the way you were expecting it. Other times, it feels like it can elevate the material, create a mood board, and then perfectly capture that time period. These are the songs I remember from 2014. That Pump Up the Kicks is the one rock indie musical track that was played fucking everywhere. These are the songs that make sense for him to pick, and he implements them in a way that feels like there is artistic creative decisions. It's not just, let's just jam as many as we can into a 4-minute period. Let's really flesh it out. He almost does an entire verse from Wrecking Ball before he even gets to the chorus. Letting the songs breathe, and I think really choosing less, but quality makes an impact and makes the polka overall stronger. I want to hear those parts. I want to hear this version. It's almost like Weird Al's version becomes a version that I prefer of the song. It hits the energy. It puts it in a genre of music that I enjoy. Maybe not polka itself, but polka is kind of ska adjacent. It's the same sort of tones and brightness to it with that thick walking bass line that gets me every fucking time. That's what I call polka. It's better than Polka-rama. It's better than Polka Face. And I think I like the flow of it better than Polka Power, but I do not think it belongs higher than Angry White Boy Polka. So I'm feeling right now in this video, this is the definitive ranking. It might have changed if I included the earlier ones, but I doubt it. This is the definitive ranking of Weird Al's polka songs. I hope this was informational. I hope this was fun. I don't think this is how you're supposed to listen to these. I don't think you're supposed to listen to 6 polka songs in a row. It sort of grinds on you after a while. Anyway, my patrons, just wanted to make you a little video. It was on theme with everything that I made this month. I thought I would just continue it. You paid for it. I don't know why. Thank you. If you'd like a Patreon specific video to be on something a little more catered to my audience, then please send a request. My DMs are always open, and I am happy to at least look into. I'm not going to do every fucking request because I'm not a goddamn maniac. I will consider your request for whatever video, whatever dissection you may want, because I truly, honestly appreciate every single one of you. And I hope that I can give some of the love and support you have given me back to you. Thank you for watching. I'm Grayson Todd. This hopefully has been the last time I will talk about Weird Al for a very long time. It's been a journey. Stay swazzy, stay posy, listen to some good shit, and I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you.